I got no rules, I count them. Hey, what's up, guys? Mike's here. So, time for another chapter of Shut Up and Dance With Me. So, there's gonna be a lot of things here crazy going on right there. You may keep saying that it's crazy. So, speaking of that which, we're gonna read another chapter of Shut Up and Dance With Me. Again, shout out to with T, double T double Y underscore name for writing this fanfiction, and shout out to Wolfpainter for drawing the scenery of what was going on to it. So shout out to both of them because they haven't worked their best to do whatever they wanted. Alright guys, even though my Period is so crazy you could see me which one I should do, which one I should lead on to, but whatever. Let's get started. Keith is nearing the final lap of his second mile when he feels his brother's presence come up next to him. He keeps staring straight ahead, not even bothering to take off his earbuds. Shiro! No! You can see Shiro pull ahead a little, leaning to his vision and mimicking removing his headphones. Keith huffs, rolling his eyes, but does as he's asked. I didn't even say anything, Shiro says as Keith tugs out one of his earbuds and lets it drop. Keith levels a flat glare at him. You were going to ask me about Lance, weren't you? Shiro smiled, turns sheepish. He opens his mouth to speak, but Keith cuts him off. No. He turns back forward, speeding up his pace a fraction to pull ahead of Shiro. It doesn't take long before he's pulling up alongside him once again. Keith, just listen. I'm not dancing with him. This will be a good opportunity for you both. Keith presses his lips together into a thin frown, but internally he's groaning. Shiro's using that voice. Everyone else likes to call it his dad voice, but to Keith, it has been his big brother voice. The voice he used whenever Keith had acted out. The voice he used whenever Keith felt like giving up. The voice he used whenever Keith needed kindness and a giving hand. It's so soft, so kind, filled with unwavering and genuine concern, yet containing the edge of seriousness that makes Keith bite his tongue. Keith knows he's just trying to help, but this is something he really doesn't want to budge on. So he avoids his brother's eyes, staring straight ahead. Keith, kindness and patience. Ugh, Keith hates him sometimes. I don't care about regionals, Shiro, he says, and Keith can see him shaking his head out of the corner of his eye. I know you say that, and I mean it, but I think you should reconsider. And why should I do that? He asks her. He doesn't know why he's hearing Shiro. He's done a good job avoiding the subject so far. This isn't the first time Shiro's attempted to corner him since he forced Keith and Lance to dance together yesterday. He can always just leave, abandon his gym routine and just go. He had driven himself here, but something keeps him. Stubbornness, probably. He knows Shiro won't drop the subject until they talk it out. He has that gleam in his eyes that Keith knows all too well. Shiro can be just as stubborn as he is. You should perform, Keith. You're good. Really good. You could go far if you just give yourself a chance. There it is. The beginning of the guilt trip. Shiro is a master of that. Always manipulating him with that kind, caring voice because he knows Keith hates disappointing him. It's cruel and unfair. I don't see how some competition would help me, he grumbles, as soon as he does. He knows he's made a mistake. Shiro's smile tells him that the man has sensed a chink in his armor, a fault in his resolve. You love dancing, don't you? What kind of question is that? You know I do. You want to do something with it, right? Some kind of career? He shrugs, dodging around a few slower joggers to hide his face. I don't know. Maybe I haven't thought about it. Shiro's tone is reproachful. We both know you have, and you do. The best way for you to get started is to get yourself out there. Let yourself be seen. You're real good, Keith, but you won't get anywhere if you just dance in a room by yourself. I know that, Shiro, but regionals is a perfectly good opportunity for you to prove yourself. Keith scowls and looks away. He knows Shiro is right, but that doesn't mean he's happy about it. Shiro's been around him long enough to sense him harden. His voice softens, and he tilts his head, giving Keith a small smile. You're good enough to get to nationals if you try. It's a good way to make a name for yourself in something that you love doing. He grunts in response, grabbing a hold of his dangling earbud to keep it from bouncing wildly. I'm about to go into my sprints. You're gonna keep up, old man? Shiro raises an eyebrow, a smile tugging at his lips. You can't run from your promise, Keith. Watch me. He deadpans, fighting the twitch at the corner of his lips. He pauses as they round the corner of the indoor track, and he bounces on the balls of his feet, staring down the straight stretch. How many laps? Sprint 3, jog 1, rinse and repeat. He rolls his shoulders, cranking his head to each side. He can hear the song currently playing coming to an end in his one earbud. When you're done, will you talk with me? He shrugs, putting his dangling earbud back in his ear. I'll think about it. If not too out of breath, old man. Shiro frowns. I'm not that old. Keith tugs at his own bangs, a smirk curling his lips. You're already going gray. Shiro automatically reaches up to brush the white strands away from his forehead. They fell right back in its place. His brow furrows and mumbles. Allura told me it looks good. It's a statement, but Keith can hear the self-conscious question in it. He rolls his eyes, bending down to get into position for a runner start. Hair looks fine. It suits you. Shiro's insulates rings. You really think so? The song in his ears ends, and he smirks up at his brother. Because you're old. And then his sprinting playlist starts up, all sung with fast, driving beats, and he takes off. He loves running. He always has. He finds it cathartic, and it never fails to clear his mind. He loves the burn in his lungs and the sweet ache in his body. It's one of his favorite escapes. Before Shiro had introduced him to dancing, it was his main escape. It's like nothing can hurt him as long as he keeps moving. He doesn't have to deal with things as long as he's moving. It doesn't take him long to be up to speed, pushing his body as fast as he can go. He's breathing hard, legs pumping and arms swinging. The music in his ears drives him forward, keeps him going. The beat keeps tempo with his heart hammering in his chest. As he thunders down the track, he expertly weaves around people. The ball of his feet barely touches the ground. His blood is singing through his veins. His hair is whipping around him, and he truly feels alive. He tries not to think about how he had felt a very similar feeling when he danced with Mans. For a moment, he lets himself forget. He forgets about Shiro. He forgets about regionals. He forgets about Lance and the barely concealed hurt in his voice when he had stormed out yesterday. He forgets about his retreating back. He forgets about the angry shout he heard in the parking lot. He forgets about the way his chest had clenched when Lance had said he could never dance with him. Keith had started it. He has no reason to feel hurt because Lance had agreed with him. He forgets it all and focuses solely on moving forward and pushing his body as fast as he can go. After 2 laps, he can feel himself slowing, and Shiro catches up to him. They don't speak. They're both listening, and they're too busy dodging around others on the track. But they keep pace with each other. Then they finish the 3rd lap, and Keith automatically slows to a jog. He's panting, his heart still pounding, and his music blares in his ears, encouraging him to keep going, but he allows himself a brief reprieve. Shiro looks grateful for this as he slows down beside him. Keith glances sideways at him, and Shiro shoots him with a white grin, pointing to his ear. Keith reluctantly pulls out an earbud. You're going to run someone over one of these days. He tries to sound serious, but the edge is lost to his teasing tone, and the fact that he's breathless. Keith shrugs. Hasn't happened yet. They're halfway through the lap. Breed's finally getting to get back to a more natural rhythm before Shiro speaks again. He's not that bad, you know. So much for trying to get his heart rate down for long. I don't know who you're talking about. Lance. Keith definitely feels his heartbeat picked up, and he blames it on the run and his music. There's no way just the guy's name can get him this riled up. Are we thinking about the same guy? Because the Lance I'm thinking of is definitely that bad. He just has a very strong personality. He barks us short, sharp lap before it can help us. That's one way to put it. You should give him a chance. He is already putting his earbud back in his ear, making sure it's secure enough to stay there. Sorry, Shiro. Can't hear you. Gotta run. And then he rounds the corner of the track, and he's breathing again. He hears Shiro shouting his name, but he doesn't turn around. He easily stays ahead of his brother this time. He can't hear his heavier steps pounding behind him, and occasionally he sees him out of the corner of his eye when he dodges around people. But he doesn't slow or give him the chance to catch up. By the time he's finished his sprinting laps, he slows to a jog, which is just a little slower than before. His legs are starting to feel the burn, and it feels great. When Shiro comes up alongside him, he doesn't even have to say anything before Keith is reaching out to remove one of his earbuds. They don't say anything for half a lap. Content will simply try to catch their breath. The silence is comfortable, and for a brief moment, Keith thinks that maybe Shiro has finally dropped it. He's never that lucky. Winning at regionals and going to nationals is a great way to get discovered, Shiro says, panting between words. He turns a winning smile to Keith. It will look great on your resume. Keith groans, rolling his head to the side to level a flat look at Shiro. I know I made fun of you being old, but now you're seriously sounding like Dad. He chuckles, rubbing the back of his head. Am I wrong though? Keith looks away and grumbles. No. You can practically feel Shiro's eating grin, and sadly ignores it. Are you just running through a pre-made list of things to say to convince me? Isn't that obvious? Keith glares at him, but Shiro just laughs. I thought it may be nice to be prepared. I'm not one of your speeches, Shiro. You don't need note cards to talk to me. With how stubborn you are, I really do. It's best to have all my important points planned out beforehand, so I can fire back when you try to shoot me down. He grunts and looks away, picking up his earbud anticipation as they near the curve at the end of the track. His body is particularly humming with energy, eager to sprint again, eager to get away from Shiro before he has a chance to further whittle away at his resolve. He can feel it weakening, and he doesn't like it. He's determined to stick this one out. At least I don't actually have no cards. Shiro replies, amusement in his voice, like I did when we were kids. He glances at him sideways, unable to hide the smirk that tilts his lips. And I see you haven't written out on your arm either. You're growing up, believe it or not. I am capable of pestering you without a written list. You memorized it, didn't you? His smile turns sheepish, and he looks down and away before glancing at Keith sideways. Yeah, Laura helped me. They may be exercising, and their skin might be flushed with exertion, but Keith would have to be blind to miss the blush that tinges Shiro's cheeks. Seeing a way to turn this back around, Keith lets his smirk widen. Speaking of your girlfriend, where is she? Shiro's eyes snap up to him, smile gone, and lips pressed into a small frown. His blush is definitely brighter. She's not my girlfriend! He tries to sound firm. Keith knows he does, and it's an adorable attempt, but it comes out as more of a pout than anything. Keith can't help but throw back his head and laugh. Whatever you say, champ, you're not fooling anyone. Shiro scowls and looks away, facing forward. Why do you assume I know where she is? Keith asks. Because you two always come to the gym together. If you're here, she is too. After we lift the weights, she went to the earth. He mumbled, turning away, probably to hide his blush, but Keith can see creeping up his neck. Keith laughs again. Oh my god, how posh of her. Was she on the rowing team at her fancy British boarding school? Shiro looks at him, lips pressed into a thin line, brows furrowed. He opens his mouth once, then closes it. A variety of emotion passed over his face. Keith raised both eyebrows, positively grinning. She was, wasn't she? Oh my god, that's amazing. Keith, there's definitely an exasperated whine in that voice. Keith doesn't even feel sorry for him. If he can't deal with the teasing, he shouldn't dish it out to begin with. Sorry, Shiro. I can't hear you, he says, shoving the earbud back in his ear. They're around the corner, and they're facing the straight side of the track. Keith looks up, and his eyes are immediately drawn to the woman who had just walked through the door. She tucks a wayward strand of white hair behind her ear as she looks around the track. Keith smirks at Shiro. Looks like your girlfriend's here. Wouldn't want to lose a race to your little brother. That will be embarrassing. He laughs at the utter look of embarrassed horror that comes across Shiro's face, and he takes up before he hears Shiro shouting his name again. This time, Shiro actually gives him a run for his money. He doesn't know if Shiro is actually trying to impress Allura, prove to Keith that he can keep up, or if he's actually just trying to chase Keith down so he can tackle him to the ground and pull him in a headlock. Either way, he's not willing to stick around to find out. He pushes himself harder than before, feeling the adrenaline roaring through his veins. At the chase, he flies past Allura, sending her a wild grin as he goes, and seeing it reflected on her face before he's gone. As he rounds the first curve, he glances over his shoulder, surprised to find Shiro right by him. His face is tight with concentration. His arms are pumping at his sides as he charges forward. Keith yelps, the sound immediately shifting to a laugh as he turns back forward, cutting the corner as tight as he can while still dodging people and without losing speed. His lungs burn, his feet barely touch the ground, and it feels a tight knot forming in his side. He doesn't care. He keeps going. At the next turn, he looks back again to find that Shiro hasn't gained much, but he hasn't fallen behind either. When they pass Allura again, she's leaning against the wall near the door, arms crossed over her chest, and a small smile of amusement on her lips. She gives him a little wave as he passes, and he lifts his hand in response. He doesn't think he drops his pace for the entirety of his 3 laps. He feels alive. They haven't had a chase like this in years. It was a lot more common when they were kids, and it was actually after kids pushed Shiro past the breaking point of his patience, which, by the way, is very high, and Keith prides himself in the fact that he's one of the only ones who can make his brother suffer like that. As he rounds the last corner, he lets his run slowly and naturally wind down to a mild jog. He turns to grin over his shoulder, only to find Shiro has slowed to a walk pretty far behind him, and his hands are on his hips, and his head tossed back at his chest. He is with heavy breaths. He slows to a walk, and then a stop, waiting for Shiro to catch up. His breaths are fire, and his limbs are vibrating with unused energy. He needs to keep moving, but he can't pass this up. You're losing your touch, he says, pulling out his earbud as Shiro comes up beside him. They keep walking along the track, but Keith's legs feel like jelly at the pace that's so drastic from his previous burst of moment. One of these days, he pants. Keith rolls his eyes. Yeah, keep dreaming. Shiro has always had a much better endurance than Keith. He can go for miles and miles after Keith's legs give out, as long as he keeps a steady pace. But Keith has always and will always surpass him in speed. When it comes to sprints and weaving through obstacles, he is faster. He can go longer. His body was built for that kind of endurance, that kind of push. He thrives on it. Shields gets tired too quickly trying to catch up to Keith. Keith isn't saying that it was his plan to tire his brother out with sprints, so it couldn't keep bothering him about the whole regional thing. But hey, he'll take it. He pats Shiro on the shoulder. I'm gonna keep running. Why don't you go say hi to your girlfriend? Shiro scowls. Keith, you said we will talk, he says, still panting heavily. Keith gives him a small smirk. I said I'd think about it. He plugs his earbud back in his ear and starts off a slow jog, intent on completing his jog lap before doing one last sprint, just to dissuade Shiro from following him. Keith! Bye, Shiro! He calls around him. Allura is shaking her head as he passes her. As he completes his jogging lap, he starts sprinting again. It's not as fun without having to actively outrun Shiro, and he has tired himself out enough that he's not really hitting his top speed anymore. He had done it enough now. However, that the other runners are learning to move out of his way, even if they do send dirty looks as he passes. When he sprints past the door, you can see Shiro and Allura have gone out into the open space between the track and the weight room. They're talking, her hand on his arm as he holds a water bottle. He resists the urge to shake his head. He doesn't know why his brother even tries to knife him. He only sprints for 2 laps before slowing to a decent run for the third, then a casual jog for the fourth, and ending with a walking lap. As he walks, he skips forward past the section of his playlist intended for sprinting songs, getting to the much more casual acoustic covers of pop songs. After his walking lap, he stops by one of the open corners of the room outside the track itself and starts to stretch. There's a few people there with mats out doing yoga or just stretching before or after a run. He got his arm stretched across his chest. When he feels a tap on his shoulder, he starts to turn, mouth already open to tell Shiro to just drop it already. Only snaps shut when he sees Allura. She steps around to stand in front of him, her arm across her chest to mirror his. She's smiling widely, her hair pulled up into a monster of a ponytail that cascades down her back, and she's wearing simple yoga pants and a loose tank top. Her dark skin glistens with sweat, and yet she still manages to outshine everyone. He may be gay as hell, but he's not blind, and Allura is positively beautiful, even after spending several hours in the gym. Honestly, it's not even fair. Keith scowls at her, worried and suspicious. She sent you, didn't he? He looks over his shoulder, and sure enough, Shiro is walking the track, water bottle in hand. When he sees Keith's glare, he smiles and gives him a thumbs up. Keith frowns, but his attention is brought back to Allura when she gently tucks one of his earbuds out. Do you mind if I join you? She asks. It's so sweet and falsely innocent that Keith can't say no. Would you leave if I said no? Response readies. No? He shrugs, switching arms. Guess it doesn't matter then. Nope. I suppose it doesn't. They go through several stretches in blissful silence before he speaks again. So, Show tells me you're considering auditioning for regionals, she says as they're both sitting on the ground, legs stretched out in front of them, reaching for their toes. Keith is a little proud that he can wrap his hands around the toes of his shoes, which is just a little further than Laura can go. He looks up at her, brows furrowed. I'm not. Miss Auditions, he says, flatly, leaving no room for argument. Allura, however, looked unfazed. He told me he suggested you and Lance to try out as a duo. Her voice is innocent, yet open. Keith pulls his right leg in, pressing his foot against his thigh, and leaning far forward until his chest is nearly touching his leg. He uses this new position to avoid looking at her. And that's the worst idea my brother has ever had since he decided to put chocolate syrup on a slice of Kraft Singles cheese. She throws back her head and laughs. It's not a dainty laugh. It doesn't sound like bells chiming in a meadow with birds chirping in the sun shining. It's a deep bed laugh, a real laugh that comes from down deep, and one without strength. Bearing her heart and soul, her whole face gets into it, and she still manages to be beautiful. He can see why his brother is so head over heels. Her laugh is actually a lot like Lance, that unrestrained laugh that just bursts from them, loud and unrelenting. It could be ugly, unrefined, annoying, but it's not. It's just makes them glow brighter. It's infectious and just make you want to hear more, to keep it going, to keep that smile on their faces. And now it's compared to Lance's laugh to Allura's, and that's definitely not something he should be doing because he's mentioned already. Allura is beautiful, and Lance is, well, Lance. Well, to his credit, I think it's a brilliant idea, she says when her laughter subsides. He ignores me in her eyes and her smile by switching legs and practically laying down the stretch. It's a terrible idea, Laura. Don't encourage him. Aw, don't be like that, Keith. Think about it. I have, and the answer is no. You both missed auditions, but two auditions are still coming up. As Shiro said, you're both born and capable of putting together a team by then. You're both amazingly talented, and I have no doubt that you two could go far. You both have so much chemistry. He tilts his head back, far enough to make a face up at her, and she chuckles, winking. Trust me, I know about these things. Her eyes automatically drift away from him down the track, and her expression softens. He knows without having to turn around that she's looking at Shiro. He supposes she does have a point there. Her and Shiro have amazing chemistry on and off the dance floor. On this, however, she's definitely wrong. Keith snorts, bringing her attention back to him. Sorry, Laura, but if we have chemistry, it's the kind that blows the roof off the lab and causes everyone to die in a fire. Her smile widens. There's a sparkle of amusement in her eyes that he doesn't appreciate. That's the best kind. You guys can just focus on your energies. I know you can make a good team. He is already shaking his head. He pulls both his legs toward him, feet together, and rests his hands on his ankles, using his elbows to push his knees down. He leans forward, feeling the stretch in his thighs. Shiro said he had you guys stand together yesterday. He said you were really good. Keith glares up at her from behind his bangs, lips pressed into a thin line, then looks away, staring at the ground. You weren't there, Laura. grumbles. He's unprofessional. It started out great, but then he just, I don't know, said he was improvising or whatever and stopped doing the right dance. That might work fine as a solo act. But that is not going to get us anywhere. Not if he can't or won't follow directions. He's not even that good. Laura is chuckling and lifts his head, glaring at her. What? Alright, that last part I know is a lie. Lance is a fantastic dancer. He's just as a strong personality. He rolls his eyes. That's what Shiro said. And it's an understatement. He's cocky, needlessly competitive, and insufferable. Okay, so ignore how it ended and tell me about that part where it started out great. He groans and leans forward to rest his forehead on the ground. Keith, come on. You can't tell me. You know. She jerks forward to pat his head. I won't even tell Shiro. Promise. He runs again. It was great. He was able to keep up with me, and everything was the right angle. And it was, I don't know, fun, sorta. Aha. No! Kate snaps, standing up quickly to the level glare at her. No, you don't get it. It was good for about 30 seconds before he started up. I can't work with someone who can't keep up with the choreography, but he can. You said so yourself. But he doesn't, and that's the problem. So you're saying if we could get him to take it seriously, there won't be a problem? He blinks. That's not, and if we can't get Lance to agree, he would audition for regionals with him. I did not say that. He scowls, his lip curling as he leans back, regarding Allura. You're devious. Her smile never falters as she tilts her head to the side. I don't know what you're talking about. I suddenly fear for my brother. She rolls her eyes and then shifts to the side, getting her knees under her. Tell you what, shall I make a little wager? He raises one eyebrow, suddenly suspicious. What kind of wager? What kind of wager? Asked slowly. A plank of. She puts her hands on her hips, regarding him thoughtfully. We both blank. First one to give up loses. If I win, you have to promise to actually, seriously, consider giving Lance a chance. Allura, I don't. She holds up a finger, cutting him off. Let me elaborate. You have to talk to him about dancing together, specifically. Have a civil conversation with him. He gets the feeling that he's not getting out of this. Shiro might be stubborn, but Allura is relentless. If he wants to have his way, he's going to have to play her game. He shifts onto his knees, crossing his arms over his chest. What if I win? You won't, she says with a smirk and a glint in her bright blue eyes. Humor me, he deadpans. He shrugs. What do you want? If I win, neither you or Shiro are allowed to mention regionals or dancing with Lance again. And that includes trying to get others to convince me. She holds out a hand. Deal. He takes her hand and her long, slender fingers curl round his with surprising strength. He glances at her exposed arms before his eyes slide to her face. He doesn't like the wicked smirk he sees there. He set his face to a grim mask of determination as he drops her hand. Let's get this over with. They will immediately take up planking positions on their hands and toes. Back straight. His positioning is perfect, and he knows this. He's not a stranger to planks and push-ups, and he's got the stamina to prove it. He feels the familiar tightening in his core, straining his arms, and he settles into it. This is as familiar to him as sprinting, and he'll enjoy the burn while Laura capes. Then he'll never have to hear about auditions or regionals or duos or lands ever again. 10 minutes later, he is starting to realize that Allura may not actually cape as easily or as quickly as he had hoped. He had his head tilted up to the side of fraction, and he's glaring at Allura from beneath his bangs. She's meeting his eyes, and she still has that eating smirk on her lips. That just screams confidence. Her eyes are narrowed slightly, but they're glinting with determination and fire and challenge. Kit is seriously regretting his decision right about now. He can feel the quiver in his gut and the slight shake in his knees that tells him that he's starting to reach his tolerance, but he refuses to give up. Not when Allura is practically grinning at him like she's already won. He gives her one last scowl and looks down, keeping his spine straight to help alleviate some of the pressure. They're silent, at least, and he's grateful for that. He focuses on his breathing and clearing his mind, pushing past any protest his body is making. He's not sure how much time has passed. The people around them in the corner come and go, tilts his head to the side slightly so he can watch people on the track, anything to keep his mind off of the task at hand. He watches them go round and around. The center of the track is open. Looking down at the basketball court on the floor below, the sounds of sneakers squeaking across the gym floor, and balls bouncing echoes and blurs with shouts and conversation. His music is still playing in one ear, giving him that distraction. How are you holding up? Larry's voice is unwelcome. Fine, he grins, clenches teeth. Are you sure? You look a little shaky. I'm fine, he says again, voice hard. He's not fine and he knows it. His arms are shaking now, as are his legs. There's a burn in his gut that's gone from pleasant to unbearable. Still, he holds it. Honestly, you have lasted a lot longer than I expected. I'm impressed. She sounds genuinely impressed, and not at all condescending or mocking. Still, he grunts and lifts his head to glare at her. Lips pressed tight in concentration. You can see her arms are shaking, too, but her expression is unworried. You can see her arms are shaking too, but her expression is unworried and confident, and honestly, she looks a lot more sturdy than he feels. God, he should have known. He expected her to be good, but he had been sure that he's better. She catches his eye, and somehow her smirk turns mischievous. Ready to give up? Not even close, he says. He's not lying. He's not ready to give up. Is his body about to give up on him? However, is a completely different question. He thinks he can still last several more minutes though, if he really focuses and ignores her. He just got to focus on his breathing, which has started to get strained. He focuses on breathing in through his nose and out through his mouth. He leans his head back down to face the ground and closes his eyes. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Why did you just admit you want an excuse to talk to Lonskin? Keith's eyes shoot open and his head whips up to stare. What? His arms gave out and his core muscles relaxed. He falls to his knees, barely catching himself before his chin hits the ground. He sits up straight, eyes wide. Allura! What the f was that? She lowers herself to her knees, with a slight sigh, sitting up a lot more gracefully than he had. She crosses her arms over her chest and tilts her head to the side. That was me winning. What? You, he sputters, waving his hands around and grasping the air as he searches for words. You cheated! She laughs. How did I cheat? I just asked you a question. Why Does mentioning him make you flustered? She leans forward, tilting her chin downward a fraction and waggling her eyebrows. Keith presses his lips firmly together, feeling the telltale warmth rise up his cheeks, take up residence on his cheeks. He has nothing to say to that. There's nothing he can say without making it worse. He hops and looks away, pushing himself to his feet. Whatever. I'm out of here. His legs are shaky as he walks away, and he tries his best not to stumble or fall on his face. He stumps toward the door. Don't forget about our wager, she calls about him. You should talk to him. I'll think about it, he says without turning around. You know you want to. I do not, he snaps, perhaps a little too loud. He yanks the door open and steps into the hall. You can hear Allura's laugh echoing behind him, and his ears feel like they're on fire. He stumbles down the stairs, leaning heavily on the handrail to keep his balance as his legs protest the movement. His gut feels like it was on fire, and he blames it solely on the planking. He has nothing to do with what Allura had said, because he refuses to consider it a possibility. She was just trying to get under his skin so she could win, and it had worked. He meant what he had said. He's starting to fear for his brother. The locker room is mostly empty when he gets there, and he's glad. He goes to his usual locker, off and out of the way in the corner, and rips it open, pulling out his water bottle. He tilts his head back, guzzling it until he feels it dripping down his chin, wiping off his mouth. He gasps for air and sits down heavily on the bench in front of his locker. His muscles are still screaming in protest. Usually it's a sign of good workout, but right now he's not really been afterglow. He knows he should have done more of a cooldown, but just he wanted to get away from Allura, and the men's locker room is the perfect place for him. He rests his elbow on his knees and leans forward, letting his head hang. He stares at his shoes absently. He had made that wager with Allura, and he had lost, but he really doesn't want to talk to Lance. He isn't even sure he can have a civil conversation with the guy. He's just so cocky and smug, and his fucking eating grin does weird things to Keith's chest. He gets under his skin. He's not sure he can trust Lance to be civil, and he's definitely not sure he can trust himself to be civil. But if he talks to Lance and confirms that the guy's an asshole, then they can't blame him, and if they can't fault him for not trying. Besides, he didn't agree to actually dance with him. He's only agreed to concert and maybe talk to him. Since when did coming to the gym get this complicated? He comes here to get his problems for a while, not get new ones. He needs to start finding out when Shiro and Allura are coming to the gym so he can make sure not to be here. He groans, running a hand through his hair and resting his forehead in his palm. How the f is he even supposed to approach Lance? What the hell is he supposed to say? They both made their opinions on the matter quite clear, and he really doesn't think Lance wants to see him anytime soon. However, the clench in his gut is definitely from the 20-minute planking session with Allura. Be sure of it. I've never seen someone hold out that long against Allura. Of course. He should have expected this. The men's locker room is safe from Allura, but it's not safe from his brother. Groans loudly, but doesn't lift his head. Go away, Shiro! Nope. He sits down heavily on the bench next to him, leaning back against lockers. Seriously though, I thought for a minute there that you might beat her. Your girlfriend is a monster, and you sick her on me. What kind of brother are you? That kind that's trying to get you past your own stubbornness. Kitas. By using your own, it's for your own good. I heard that line before. Have I ever been wrong? Keith is silent for a moment, before he sighs and looks out reluctant. No, he says and leans against the lockers, tilting his head back to stare at the ceiling while his hands hang between his legs. So, you admit I might be right about this. That dueling with Lance might be good for you? Keith's eyes narrow at the ceiling panels. He frowns. You're twisting my words. Do you admit it? He says. Maybe. She leans over to nudge his shoulder with his own. So, are you going to go through with it? The bet you made with Allura? Keith rolls his head to the side, still leaning against the lockers as he glares up at the older man. I know you were in on this. Shiro isn't even trying to hide a smile. He shrugs, his shoulder rubbing against Keith. She said if she couldn't convince you to see reason, she would use your competitive spirit against you. She's devious, Keith said. Sure not. I know. I fear for you. That he laughs. I fear for myself sometimes. So, are you going to do it? Keith sighs, looking down at the water bottle in his hands. I don't know. He's a good guy, Keith. If you get to know him, I'm sure you two will get along. Keith nods, shifting his. He doesn't dance well with others, but neither do you, said Shinto. But there's that edge of the patented Big Brother voice. He can hear it seeping in. This will be a good opportunity for you both to prove you can work well with others. You'll both need to if you want to get anywhere with dance. Keith exhales heavily through his nose because he knows Shiro is right. Shiro is always right. He has some very valid points that would, under normal circumstances, might be fairly convincing, but why does it have to be Lance of all people? Shiro stands there, stretching his arms over his head. Then he puts a hand on one shoulder and rotates that arm. Well, if you decided to go through with it, he should be in the park with Hunk and Pitch for the next couple of hours. Keith looks at him one eye raised. How do you know that? Shiro shrugs, grinning as he crosses his arms over his chest. It's Tuesday, he says. Like that answer should have been obvious. Keith's brow furrows. Shiro, that doesn't make any sense, Shiro shrugs again, and Lady prods Keith's shoe with his own. Just go check them out. They're quite fun to watch. What are you even talking about? You'll see. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't go, he says, crosses his arms over his chest, pressing his lips to a frown. Shiro looks at him with that soft, rustling expression of his, and a small smile on his lips. I know you'll make the right decision. And great, there goes the Bird Guild, too. He's not going to fall for it. That's manipulation, and he's above that. I'm not going, he says. Keith, please. Then Shiro's expression drops. His lip pouts, and his eyes are wide. And, oh, no. Keith is not falling for the puppy dog eyes. He practically invented that trick. Shiro, he deadpans. The puppy dog eye trick won't work on me. I used that on mom and dad since I was 5. I've used it on you all the time. I'm immune to it. Keith. How is it even fair for him to mix his big brother guilt voice with a puppy dog look? It's not fair. Not at all. He's realizing his brother is just as deep as Dolores. Maybe he should fear for her. No, Scratchet. He should fear everyone else, especially himself. Together, they make a team that's impossible to say no to. He groans, tilting his head back to bang loud against the locker. Fine, but if I talk to him and he's a you have to drop this whole thing and accept it's not going to happen. Deal. He's already grinning like he's won, and Keith hates it. He glares, but Shiro is unaffected. Just go to the park. You won't regret it. Somehow I won't doubt that. Ha ha ha, very funny, Keith. That would not be happening because you might be working together and you cannot deal with Shiro and Allura. You can't beat it. Sorry, Keith. You have to learn from it. That's what you're not saying. Sorry. Lance hits play and sets the phone down by the speaker. His hips are already canting to one side of the beat, his head nodding along when he sees a small hand reach for the phone. He promptly reaches out and snaps away. Pidge, no! Pidge snatches their hand back, smiling as they cross their arms over their chest. They glare at him, weight shifted to one hip. Lance, it's my phone. If we don't change the song when Shakira is playing, he chasts, one hand on his hip and the other waggling his finger at Pitch in time with the beat. Pitch rolls their eyes. Pitch rolls their eyes. One of these days, you'll let me keep Shakira. Lance smirks, letting his arms hang at his sides as he moves his hips, stepping around in a slow circle with one foot each kick of the drum. Never, Pitch, never. Shakira is tradition. He's slowly shifting away from the speaker. He knows Pitch won't touch it now. They try every time, but always give up after Lance gets started. It's only tradition because you insist on it every time, Hong says. He's standing a few feet away, stretching an arm over his chest, while he props the balls of one foot up against a bench, leaning forward to stretch his calf at the same time. It's my warm-up, Honk, Lance says. Dance away from them with every step. Pitch snorts, adjusting the volume on the speaker. Since when do you warm up? Lance grins. You're right. I'm just hot all the time. Thank you, Pitch. He puts his arms straight up in the air. Back to Pitch, swinging his hip heavily to the side with every downbeat. Then he snaps his hands to his hips and whips his head around to look at Pitch over his shoulder. Dance or die, he sings, voice overly low and husky. Oh my god! Pitch sighs dramatically, rolling their eyes and getting their whole head into it, but there's a smile on their face and that betrays the exasperation they're trying to portray. When Lance holds out his hand, wagging his eyebrows as he starts to sing along in Spanish, Pitch blindly steps forward to take it. He spins them around, and they end facing each other. They dance together while Lance rattles off the lyrics to Loca, one hand holding theirs. Lance leads them through several quick steps, forward and back, side to side. He spins them occasionally, and Pitch is good enough and has done this enough to go with his lead. They swing their hips, and it doesn't take long before Pitch is just as into it as Lance is. It's a lot different from their preferred style, but Pitch is nothing if not adaptable. And the quick jerking movements of feet and hips combined with the more fluid motions of arms is right up their alley. He swings them around, and they go with it. He sweeps them in close, spinning them with an arm around their waist and the other outstretched. Pitch laughs, and Lance smirks through the lyrics. Hunk continues to stretch on the sidelines, grinning at the two of them and laughing as Lance turns his back to Pitch and they drop down. He reaches between his legs, pulls them between and up. They hop up and twist so they're facing each other again, and they do a few quick salsa-like steps. They already draw eyes in a small crowd. They're well known around here. As long as it's not raining, they're out here every Thursday. And assuming everyone's schedules have an opening for it, it's for an hour or two. They usually claim a spot somewhere around a large square with a light stone paving and a fountain in the center. It gives them plenty of room to move without blocking too much foot traffic. Per usual, they set up their speaker on one of the benches lying in the square and hooked up Pitch's phone via auxiliary cable. While they dance, Lance sees his Hunk moving out of the corner of his eye, setting up their usual bucket, painted with galaxies and stars with brightly colored lions flying around. It's ridiculous, but Lance loves it. Hunk sets the bucket a little off to the side of their dance space with a sign that reads, "Donations welcome." He hears the song coming to an end. He gets Pitched one last dramatic spin, spinning himself so that they end back to back, arms crossed over their chest. The music fades, and there's a couple of claps from the people that've been watching. Lance gives them a dramatic bow. Thank God it's over, it says, already peeling themselves away from Lance to go back to their phone. You had fun, Pitch, Lance says, straightening and turning on his heel to face them. His hands are on his hips, and a wide smile on his lips. No, they say, thumb tapping on the screen. Admit it, you like dancing to Shakira with me. I was humoring you, music starts up, and Lance assumes it's the new playlist Pitch brother has created. They set down their phone and start back toward Lance. I know you had fun. He smiled brightly, and he waggled his eyebrows. Your hips don't lie, Pidge, they groaned, dramatically slapping their face and dragging their hand out cheek. Why are you like this? You love me. Yeah, yeah. Now get out of here so I can dance, they said as they shoved Lance away from the wide open space they craved. He laughs, stumbling away. Why did you get to start? Bitch set themselves up, back to the speakers, and rolling their shoulders, shaking out their limbs. They sent a cocky smirk over their shoulder. Because it's tradition. Alright, they got in there. Lan comes to a stop beside Hong and crosses his arms over his chest, throwing back his head to laugh. Whatever you say, princess. Oscars. Lance, please. We all know you're the princess here. He makes a loud, exaggerated noise of mock offense, leaning away from Hong and putting a hand to his chest. Excuse me? Hong says sideways, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Lance holds his offended face for all of 3 seconds before he snorts and elbows Hong's arm. I'm totally the handsome, charming prince, Hong snorts. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful, Hong. Besides, Pitch says, stretching their arms over their head. The intro to the song is still building, and the heel of their foot is already tapping to beat. We all know I'd be the wizard in the tower that holds all the power. The glare in their eyes as they glance over their shoulder is downright maniacal. Lan leans in close to Hunk and whispers loudly, Did you get just shivers? Hunk whispers back now, glad I can hear you. They feed off of fear. Pitch throws back their head and laughs, dropping their arms to their sides. Then the beat drops, keeping the volume up and Pitch is moving. Lance likes to watch all of his friends dance. He can really see their personalities and their spirits come out, but Pitch in particular is fun to watch. Their movements are so precise yet fluid. They move like their limbs are animatronic, with stiff, jerking movements that Lance has a hard time believing a human should be able to do. And then within a couple of beats, they move like their bones have been replaced with liquid, only to snap back into those short, sharp movements. There's big movements and small ones, all moving together and meshing like a working gears. Pitch has taught him a few things, and I like to think he's pretty good at them. He can incorporate a lot of moves into his own dancing, but he'll never be at Pitch's level. There are some cheers from their small audience that some of Pitch's more impressive moves, the kind they shouldn't be able to do, and he can see a small smirk on Pitch's face. They're not as outwardly cocky like he is, but they know they're good and they revel in the praise. He knows the crowd is just going to get bigger from here. People come and stop and move on. The longer they go, the more people hang around. They usually end the day with quite a few donations too. It's not about the money though. It's just about having fun. They start out just dancing in the park. It's outside and nice change from spending all their time in Australia. Plus, they like having an audience. What dancer doesn't? Then people start giving them donations. So they figured they should get a bucket. The decorations were Lance's idea. Lions and stays? Genius. The music is a lot like Mass's usual stuff. It's a lot of pop music and other popular songs mixed together, and more often than not with dubstep beats. He leans heavily toward dubstep, which makes sense. Pitch likes dancing to dubstep, and Matt likes creating music for them. They probably grow up developing their tastes together, and just having to work out this way. Lance and Hunk don't mind it. Matt usually makes good music, and he usually makes good variety playlists for them to play while they freestyle in the park. To the robot! Lance shouts from the sideline. Pitch rolls their arm out, outstretching it toward him, and looking like a liquid lake. And looking like a liquid wave. He jerks to a stop with their middle finger pointed up. Lance bends over and laughs. before using his momentum lean over to stumble forward a few steps. Alright, iRobot, take it back, he says, catching his balance and sliding forward in a few much more graceful, and in time steps. Let me show you how it's done. He stops in front of Pitch, pulling off a few jerky movements to act like a robot kicking him out. Pitch chuckles and breaks off, stumbling away to give the floor to Lance. And boy does he take the floor. This is what Lance needs. This feeling of just being able to kick back with friends and dance. Dance for himself, not for any particular routine, not for auditions. He's got an audience. Yeah, he's trying to impress, but it's still just for him. He knows most people watching can't really dance, so whatever he does will look impressive. He feeds off the adrenaline of it, off the thrill of it. His dance this time is much different from his hip-shaking warm-up with his girl Shakira. He's keeping with Pitch's theme, but throwing in a lot of his own dance flair. Big moments, hops and slides, moments with his arms that aren't anywhere near animatronic. He gets a couple of cheers and grins at the group of teens passing by, fitting a little salute into his dance. He's already feeling lighter than he has in days, and definitely lighter than he has since yesterday. His chest doesn't feel tight anymore, and Keith's face isn't haunting his mind. Keith, and his too cool for school attitude, his better than you looks, his stupid mullet and pretty eyes, the way his body moves perfectly to choreography, like he was made for it. He doesn't lose himself in it like Lance does. He stays focused, body moves freely, but exactly the way he needs to. Maybe Keith is a robot too. If Lance had to admit it, he would say Keith is a good dancer. Probably never to Keith's face, but maybe like Shiro or Allura or Hawk. Definitely not to Pitch. Keith is a good dancer. Lance isn't built. But what Shiro had suggested, Lance has a track record not working well in official duos. Dancing with his friends in the park is one thing. Goofing off is one thing. But actually coordinating a routine for a competition? That isn't Lance's forte. He prefers to have the outline of a dance prepared than leave himself room to improvise and feed off the crowd. That, he's been told, doesn't work well when he stands with others. And now he's got proof that it really doesn't work with Keith. He can still see the hostile looks He can still see the hostile looks Keith had been sending. The annoyed tilt to his voice. It was more than usual. And yeah, Lance f***ed up and missed auditions. But it wasn't his fault. And it was more of a big deal to Lance than it was to Keith. Keith had his chance to audition. And he blew it because hell, Lance doesn't even know why. But it pisses him off to think about. Keith pisses him off when he thinks about it. His gut clenches and he feels a tightness in his chest that's hard to get rid of. Anytime Lance isn't busy, he finds himself thinking about it. It gets him all worked up and he just wants to punch a wall or something. The worst part, honestly, is that Lance thinks it might actually be fun to dance with Keith. He'll never admit that though, not to anyone, and barely to himself. And usually when he admits it to himself, it's immediately followed up with all the reasons for why it wouldn't be fun. Like the fact that Keith is an ass. Keith thinks he's better than him. He doesn't think he's good enough dancer to keep up with him. That thought kinda hurts. And the worst part is, he doesn't know why. He shouldn't care what Keith thinks of him. He usually doesn't when it comes to random people who have no real impact in his life. But Keith, he hates that his only lasting impressions had been bad. He hates that he really just wanted to impress Keith, prove to him that Lance is good enough to be his rival. But every time he tries, he just So he keeps up around Keith and he hates it. And now, Keith just thinks he's some douche canoe who can't dance. And he's made it clear that he wants nothing to do with Lance. And you know what? That's fine. It's totally fine. Two can play this game. And they will, because Lance wants nothing to do with him either. Lance doesn't need to be hung up on a guy who doesn't understand. He's got to stick up his perfect Adonis ass anyway. They can't work together. That much is clear. And they miss their chance to dance against each other. So now Lance will just forget about it. Let it the go. He hates Lance, and Lance doesn't need in that negativity this time. He is an ass. Lance hates him. Except now, Lance is thinking about it, and that weird tight feeling in his chest again. And he feels his face fading, and his stomach is just in knots. He's still moving because he can't stop the beat. He's a slave to it. But he isn't feeling it like he was a minute ago. But then Hunk, bless, amazing Hunk, comes to his rescue. He doesn't know if his best friend was sensing his shift in mood, or if he just decided it's his turn to dance. But Hunk is suddenly there. He hooks an arm in Lance's, then turns so their backs are pressed together. He's reaching with his other arm, and Lance is already there, holding out his arm so Hunk can hook those two together as well. Hunk leans back, and Lance crouches forward. Ready, buddy? Hunk asks. Lift off! Hunk bends forward at the same time Lance jumps. He flips over Hunk's back, feeling a moment of weightlessness before he lands firmly on his feet, facing Hunk. They both laugh and put up their hands, almost like they're about to fight. They shift from side to side in time with the beat, getting their legs and feet into it, to hit their forearms together. Once, twice, and then Lance is skipping backwards, pointing at Hunk as he spins on one heel, other leg extended and arms bent, hands in the air. Song changes and true to Matt hold form. There is barely a break in the music. In fact, if there hadn't been a change in beat, Lance wouldn't have even noticed to change it at all. This one, however, is a lot more fitting for Hunk. Higher energy, louder beats. Lance is starting to suspect Hunk had known about the playlist's change coming. When it comes right down to it, Hunk almost seems like the complete opposite of Pitch. Physically, he's much bigger than Pitch, taller and heftier. It's more than that. Pitch's dance style is controlled and contained. Every movement is deliberate and calculated. All their energy is used for laser focus, executing exactly what move their mind sums up. When it comes to Hunk, he doesn't lack for control. In fact, he's just as controlled as Pitch is, but with a much more let loose Lance flair. His movements are wide and big, and he throws everything into them. A lot of his dance comes from his limbs, arms and legs being thrown out so it's into a constant and repetitive rhythm. His body is the center of his momentum, a control center that moves and gyrates with the music, being thrown side to side and rolling with a mobility and flexibility that most don't expect from him. His energy is high and wild, moving rapidly with purpose, but always within his control and always immediately able to roll into the next move. Where Pitched movements have some spontaneity with how they move, keeping the audience constantly on edge and waiting for what happens next. Hunk likes patterns. He likes movements that you see coming, that repeat for several beats before changing it up. But somehow he keeps it interesting. It's the smile on his face, the little personal flair he throws up, the creative moves that are all him. He pulls people in, keeps their attention, makes them cheer and crave more, and it's welcoming and warm, and he's always been the best at getting the audience to dance too. Lance likes dancing with Hunk. They have a lot of fun with it, and Lance can match his energy, his spontaneity, his smiles, and goofiness. Like Pitch, however, Hunk doesn't like actually dancing duels with Lance. When it comes to competition, he likes patterns and he likes choreography. He and Pitch, despite their dress different styles, actually work real well together. Even if they have their strengths, they're both adaptable. Hunk brings up Pitch's energy. Pitch helps keep Hunk contained. Hunk can throw a pitch around, and they trust each other enough to do some crazy. It always appeals to the audience, and even when they don't place, they usually win fan favorites. Lance would never have that kind of chemistry with Keith. But he's not thinking about Keith right now, because this is bro time, and bro time isn't a time to think about assholes. After a couple of minutes, Pitch darts into open space, a loose circle that started to form around him. Pitch stops in front of Hunk, doing a few quick steps before spinning and gliding from side to side like their shoes have no traction on the stone bricks. Hunk concedes the dance floor to them and backs up, standing next to Lance. And that's how the next hour passes. They take turns pushing each other out of the circle, but never in any specific order. Usually, whenever they're feeling the music hit them, some songs are better suited to some of their styles than others. But overall, Matt's new playlist is gold. They even get a few questions about the music, and they had out some of Matt's DJ business cards. There's a few times some of the audience members got involved, and they laugh and encourage them to dance. They don't mind, and it makes things more fun. It's really a case of some douche trying to one-up them, and more like people really just getting into the spirit and enjoying themselves. Hunk gets a gaggle of kids to join at some point and has them hold onto his biceps as he spins around. They get a couple of dudes who know some breakdancing moves, and they have a good time exchanging moves with Lance. Even a young kid jumps in to join Pitch, matching their style perfectly as the two to get out in short-lived battle while Lance chants, "Rock 'em, sock 'em, robots" in the background. They're even getting a fair amount of donations as well. And to top it all off, Lance hasn't thought about Keith in who knows how long. Not at all. Keith is far from his mind. He's just laughing and having fun with friends and letting this music just rock his soul and move his body. He's interacting with the crowd because he's a people person like that, and it makes it more fun. He loves the mini dance offs. He loves when the kids get excited. He loves showing off with an audience that actually appreciates what he does, unlike a certain mullet-toe-wielding individual he could mention. He's just pushed Hunk out of the circle and he's doing a quick few steps from side to side, really getting his hips into it. When he spots a flash of black hair, his heart instantly stops in his chest. His lungs tighten, or his heart rate skyrockets. His eyes snap up, and he's able to breathe again. It's not Keith. Not that he thought it would be Keith. Not that he's thinking about Keith. Because this has been declared a no-Keith zone. He spies a girl with shoulder-length black hair standing around their loose circle with two of her friends. All three of them are attractive and beautiful. And hello there. Putting on his best charming smirk, Lance half dances and half saunters over to them. He does a few quick dance moves, ending in a spin as he flashes them a winning smile and finger guns. One is scowling, one is hiding their face in her hands, and the other giggles. Well, 1 out of 3 isn't bad. He holds out his hand, still dancing, and motions for them to join him. They exchange looks, and he knows those looks. Rejection. Once again. It's not too strange though. Not everyone has the confidence to dance in front of a crowd like this, especially with a stranger. Besides, in a situation like this, turning down a dance doesn't mean he's being shot down altogether. So he tries again, just to be nice, and when they firmly reject his offer a second time, he slaps a hand to his chest, putting on a look of surprise as he stumbles backwards. He purposely falls onto his ass, using his momentum to roll onto his back. His feet follow the movement, going up and over his shoulder as he rolls backwards. As he goes, he puts his hands behind him and uses the momentum to turn his backwards roll up into a handstand. There's a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd, and he's feeding off of it. He holds the position for several seconds, just to prove that he can, before he bends his legs and comes gracefully back down to his feet. As soon as he's upright, he's moving again. He decides to roll with the whole breakdancing theme. He's already set himself up for it. The music is right for it. He scuttles around, setting himself up to go down on his hands and do a quick few maneuvers on his hands and feet. He can hear the crowd egging him on, and he loves it. Breakdancing has always been a crowd pleaser. He sees a couple of kids hanging onto their parents' hands and practically jump up and down, their eyes alight with excitement. He grins, laughs, because he loves when people enjoy his dance. When he can give someone a good show and make their day. Keith and his no-nonsense attitude. Lance doesn't need to impress him. He's got an appreciative audience right here. The group of girls is still watching, so he shoots them some finger guns and wink, grinning when they giggle. He doesn't know if it's with him or at him, but he'll take it. He drops to his right side, planting his hand to the ground and kicking his legs up over his body. His right leg remains bent and left leg is extended. He reaches out with this left hand to touch his toes. It's a classic move and a crowd pleaser. Not everyone can hold this form while balancing on one hand, and he knows it. He smirks at the audience. But in those few seconds that he's holding the pose, in those few seconds where his eyes scan the crowd, smirking and feeding off the reactions he sees, it's in those few seconds that he spots a head of dark hair that's definitely shaped like a moth. And you know that moth anywhere. His eyes pass over him before snapping back, widening as it feels his smirk fall. Keith. That is definitely disruptly Keith standing there. In a circle of people, arms crossed over his chest, weight shifted onto one hip, but far from the usual impassive scowl. He's smiling. Well, smiling might be a strong word, but his expression is soft, his posture relaxed, and his lips are curved upward at the edges, and that expression is happening while his eyes are on Lance. It takes his breath away, literally for a moment. His chest tightens, and he forgets how to breathe, his air locking up in his throat. His heart probably skips a beat too, but he barely notices. His stomach is caught between twisting and fluttering. He doesn't know if it's pleasant or unpleasant. For a full second, their eyes lock. He sees the moment Keith realizes he's been seen. He sees how his eyes widen a fraction, his smile relaxing and lips parting every so slightly. His vague amusement is gone, replaced by surprise. Lance isn't sure what expression he's making. His face feels numb, but he's pretty sure it's something similar. Although it's probably tinged with a dash of horror because in that 1 second, he feels himself lose control. His balance shifts as he distracted. He can feel the moment his stomach lurches, and he knows he's going to fall. He tears his eyes away from Keith as he falls onto his back, squeezing his eyes shut with a soft groan. He doesn't hit that hard. He knows how to take a fall, knows how to do it without hurting himself, even if it looks bad from the outside. Dancing can be dangerous, and he really can't afford a hospital bill. There's a collective pain sound from the audience, and he barely hears it. His mind is too full of chaos and loud thoughts that border on screams. Keith is here. Red alert, he's here. And he just f***ed up again. He saw the whole thing. Way to go, cool kid. Time to run away. Run far away, where no one knows your name. Start over, new friends, new life. Let's go. He opened his eyes, staring up at the late afternoon sky and dotted with fluffy white clouds. Such a beautiful day. He had been looking forward to this, to hang out with his friends and let loose, just forgetting about Keith. And it had been working, to some extent, but here it is, ruined everything. And now all those terrible things that he had finally managed to let go were back. God, why is he here? And why does this Lance always manage to do something embarrassing when he's around? Why does the universe hate him so? No wonder Keith thinks he's an idiot. Normally when he falls, he just rolls with it and covers going into some other move or pose, smirk on his lips from the audience. This time, however, all he can do is lay on his back, knees bent, arms flail out his sides, face feels like it's on fire. Thankfully, Pitch comes to his rescue. Sweet, sweet, angelic Pitch. Sweet, amazing, beautiful Pitch. Pitch is a real bro. One of the best bros for life. There's a blur of green and copper brown hair out the corner of his eye, and Pitch spins toward him. They jump when they reach his head, leaping over his body to land between Lance's feet. They hold out a hand, giving Lance a small, secretive smile. He is in his own thankful one back as he grabs their hand, with a strength that always surprises him. Pitch yanks Lance to his. Once he's upright again, they playfully kick his ass to push him away from the center of the circle so they can take over. Lance laughs as he stumbles back to Honk, but it feels forced. When he gets there, he crosses his arms over his chest, watching Pitch as he gathers the courage to look at Keith again. When he really does find the urge to flick his eyes up and over Pitch, the spot where he knows Keith is standing, he's not sure if he's disappointed or relieved to find when he's not looking at him. His eyes are on Pitch, and a small smile on his back. But Lance can't help but notice his face isn't as soft and unguarded as it was before. What is he doing here? Lance asked, leaning close to Honk. Honk, who had been laughing and clapping along with the audience to encourage Pitch, blinks and looks at Lance before trying to follow his gaze around like the audience. Who? Him, Lance hisses, lifting his chin just toward Keith. Honk still looks lost. Sorry, buddy. I don't see who you're. Keith! Honk follows his gaze once more before settling. His eyes go wide and his mouth drops into a small circle of understanding as he whispers, Oh, Keith. Right. Him. Yes, him. Lance holds his arms tighter around himself and lifts his shoulders. What's he doing here? Probably enjoying the park. There's plenty of park that isn't right here. We kind of attract attention, dude. So, is he the real reason you fell just now? Lance's shoulders drop and leans away from Honk, tearing his glare away from Keith to gape at Honk, bewilderment written across his features. What? No. I just lost my balance. Honk pats him on the shoulder, nodding. I believe you, buddy. Lance scowls at him. Honk, you're supposed to be on my side. I am on your side. Lance isn't convinced. He narrows his eyes. If you're on my side, then go get him out of here. He's throwing off my groove. Honk throws back his head and laughs. Then he puts up both hands, holding them palms out defensively as he cowers away from Lance. Oh no. Beware the groove. Lance rolls his eyes and snaps his friend's arm. I'm serious. His bad hair and stupid face are ruining the good vibes. I need my good vibes, Honk. You saw me yesterday. It was all bad vibes. Yeah, tell me about it. You ate half the enchiladas I made and then pounded on the couch with a tub of ice cream. I eat when I'm angry. Hey, if it keeps you from rambling about Keith all night, then I'm all for it. Eat me out of house and home. I do not ramble about him. Dude, Honk fixes him with a flat look. I could probably tell you exactly how his hair looked every day for the past 2 weeks in excruciating detail. I swear I know his wardrobe and music playlist by heart. If I have to hear about the way he frowns or the way his nose wrinkles or the way his eyes sparkle one more time, I don't talk about that. Lance snaps, punching Honk's arm. It's not hard, but his friend grips his arm like it does and laughs. Lance huffs and looks away. Just get rid of him, Honk. For me? He tilts his head back over his shoulder, giving Honk wide eyes and pouting lip the classic Lane's acclaimed puppy dog pout. I don't know why it's puppy dog pout there, but it's kind of fun. Honk just gives him an amused look and shakes his head, putting in a comforting hand on his shoulder. No can do, buddy. This is a good song, and I'm about to go kick Pitch out. And with that, he jogs forward a few steps, stopping in front of Pitch with his hands up at his chest, elbows out. He gyrates in front of them, arms and his hips shaking, torso pumping until Pitch laughs and throws up their hands in defeat, skipping backward to join Lance. Hung takes the circle by storm, falling to his hands and feet to do a few quick moves that have him spinning on the stones. He doesn't exactly have more acrobatic break-dancing moves down like Lance, but damn can he get down. What's got your panties in a twist? They ask, coming to a stop next to Lance. They cross their arms over their chest and bump their hip against his. My panties are twist free, thank you. Yups, that is shit. Uh-huh. And that's why you look like you swallowed a lemon. Lance grumbles something current. Lance! Pitch groans, full exasperation, bumping his hip again, hard enough to make him stumble. He sighs, then nods his head toward the crowd. Keith is here, he grumbles. Pitch follows his nod and spots Keith a lot faster than Hawk had. Oh, that explains it. He's the reason you fell. He's not! They hum in response, then lift their hand in small awe. Lance snaps his head up in time to see Keith, lifting his hand in response. He's looking at Pitch, and Lance gets the feeling that he's stubbornly avoiding his gaze, and that just irritates him more. He scowls, hunching his shoulders up higher. Look at that! He won't even look at me. What? Am I not good enough to be graced by his stupid dark grayish eyes? You know the color of his eyes? There's a missing there. Lance ignores him. Which I know is a lie. Because I'm good and good looking. He screams. I mean, just look at me. I'm hot as Hitch. What are you doing? They're definitely making a come here motion across the circle. Lance feels his eyes button, and his head whips up. Sure enough, he nods and steps back from the circle, weaving his way behind people. I'm inviting him over, they say nonchalantly. Lance looks down at them, mouth agape and eyes wide. What? Pidge, why? They shrug, with a smile playing across their lips that he really doesn't like. Just thought it'd be nice to say hi. Lance sputters, unable to find proper words to articulate with Hank rising up his throat. What? Why? Pidge, he's here. Lance spins around, back going ramming straight. He has made his way around the circle, and he's obviously making a beeline for it. He stops by the donation bucket through, and pulls a hand out of his pocket, dropping a couple of bills into the bucket. Lance doesn't want to feel touched or happy about it. Does his purse get in what he thinks is probably a frown, and tries to school his expression into something intimidating. He's about 80% sure he knows it. He shifts his arms over his chest, fingers fidgeting against his upper arms as he shifts his weight to one hip. What are you doing here? He asked in a remarkably ingenious impersonation of Keith from yesterday. He's pretty proud of it. Keith comes to a stop in front of them, hands back in the pockets of his leather jacket. It should really not look that good on him. Actually, it doesn't. It doesn't look good on him at all. Nope, definitely doesn't bring attention to his broad shoulders and narrow waist. And it really doesn't complete his whole impassive bad boy look. Nope, Lance doesn't notice how his hair curled against the collar of the jacket. The small smile that had been shadowing his lips while watching them dance is gone. His lips press into a deeper frown at Lance's words. His brows furrow slightly as he meets Lance's gaze, and they have a small stare off. Lance doesn't want to be the first to back down, and Keith is suddenly refusing to give in. They both fidget. Keith looks like he wants to say something, his mouth twisting and nose wrinkling. Lance can see the gears turning behind his eyes, struggling with some kind of decision that he doesn't understand. Hey Keith, he says, instantly drawing Keith's attention away from him. His eyes easily slide over Lance's shoulder and down to look at his friend. Then, for the third time ever, Lance sees Keith's expression soften into something foreign. His brows relax, the tension in his face drains away, and he grins. Straight up grins. His lips spread wide enough to show a small bit of teeth and blinding. His eyes light up when he sees Pitch, and for a moment he's so open and earnest with his expression that Lance feels heat instantly crawled up his neck to settle on his cheeks. And he's never seen Keith's expression like this so close. It's almost painful. For the second time in 10 minutes, Lance forgets how to breathe. Hey, Pidge? Even his voice is softer than Lance used to hear it, and it quickly becoming too much. Before he can say anything, not like he has any idea what to say, his brain was more or less shut down. Pidge is pushing past him. They shove his arm and he stumbles to his side, watching in mountain horror as Pidge and Keith hug. They hug. They wrap their arms around Keith's waist and he wraps his arms around their shoulders. They embrace in such a way that is way too tight to be casual. Long time no see, Pidge says, as they step back from each other. They cross their arms over their chest in the mirror of each other. Both of them are smiling, and Lance's brain is short-circuiting a little. Yeah, it's been a while. Too busy to hang out with your old pal Pidge? Pidge, you're the only one who's always busy. I haven't seen you in almost 2 months, he deadpans. And not even the text or call. I'm hurt, Keith. He rolls his eyes, but his smile turns sheepish. Yeah, well, I didn't get anything from you either. Pidge laughs. Alright, that's fair. We both suck at communicating. To be fair, I've had my hands full. Grad school takes up a lot of time, and I have these idiots to look after. They offhandedly gesture Lance, and Keith's eyes light to him. He's still in such a state of shock that he doesn't have time to react before Keith's looking away. I didn't know you guys knew each other. Pidge rolls their eyes and a smirk still on their lips. Who do you think he goes to complain after you piss him off or he embarrasses himself? Hey! Lance interjects, been shaking from his stupor. He glares at Pidge, and they met his glare unflinchingly before turning back to Keith. You've been going to Altea for how long now? And we've never hung out there. He shrugs, feeling. I don't really hang out there. Pidge rolls their eyes and waves them off. Yeah, I know. You go in, dance, and leave like the antisocial caterpillar you are. Keith levels a glare at them, but it's more like a pout than any look he's ever given Lance. What? Lance finally finds his voice and raises it to a shout. Both of them look at him, and he's aware his voice is a little high-pitched and all, but he can't exactly control that right now. Is going on? Keith's pout hardens into more of a real glare at the eruption. Pidge doesn't even flinch. I'm talking to Keith. You know Keith? There's an accusation in his voice as he points to the mullet man in question. Yes. You know Keith? He gestures with both hands. Yep. That guy I've been competing with for the past 2 weeks? The answer is still the same, Lance. The guy who I challenged to auditions? My rival? The with the mullet? How long is this thing to go on? You knew who he was and you didn't tell me? I know you react like this. Of course I react like this. He throws his arms up in the air. One of my best friends is fraternizing with my rival. How am I supposed to act? Like a normal person? So the whole time I complained about him, you knew? I thought that was already established. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my. He runs his hands through his hair, gripping and tugging on it as he slowly walks in a small circle. He's like a broken record, and part of him knows it. But that part is very much overridden by the part of him that's panicking. Pidge knows Keith. Pidge has known the whole time. Pidge never told him he knows Keith. And you can see from Pidge's face that they're enjoying this. They're enjoying watching Lance embarrass himself again in front of Keith. What was that he had said about Pitch being a sweet, sweet angel? He takes it back. Oh man, takes it all back. Pitch is a demon in disguise. A hell creature bent on watching him suffer. Is he alright? He vaguely hears Keith ask. Pitch shrugs. Yeah, he's just a little dramatic. He'll be fine once he gets out of his system. Dramatic? He rounds on Pitch, one hand on his hip as he holds his other hand up, palm up, and fingers are curled. I'm not dramatic. One of my best friends has betrayed me. See what I mean? Ugh! He throws his hands up in the air. To be fair, Keith was my friend first. Ugh! Lance, you're being ridiculous. I cannot believe. He throws up his hands once more, gesturing wildly between them. Keith is no longer glaring. He is watching Lance with one eyebrow raised and expression blank, but he can't help but get the impression that he's amused. You know what? I can't handle this right now. He pushed between and past them both, holding his arms out to the side. Hunk, step aside. I got a fire that can't be contained. Hunk concedes the floor to him, and Lance lets go. He does his best to ignore everything and simply dance. He tries to feed off the audience and smile like he was earlier. He's not feeling it though. His attention is constantly being drawn back toward Keith, the source of all of his recent anguish. Is talking and smiling and laughing with his two friends. He doesn't know what they're talking about, but definitely wants to know. He also knows that he can't handle being around them in a civilized manner yet. He just has so much going on in his head. Never in his wildest nightmares did he imagine Keith would know Pitch. It was pretty clear that he knows Shiro, but Shiro isn't one of his two major confidants. He isn't the one Lance has been ranting to for weeks about Keith, and Pitch never said anything. Lance is desperately trying to remember everything he's ever said about Keith from Pitch, but he's pulling up a blank. He knows there's got to be about a million embarrassing things. It was, and still is, a lot to take in. He just wants Keith out of his life so he doesn't have to think about him or feel the weird chest fluttering ever again. He wants to breathe normally for once, but no. Of course, Keith has to find his way into the heart of Lance's life by knowing one of his best friends. And then he hadn't even managed to play cool. He had freaked the out. And by the time he realized what he was doing, it was too late to control it. God, why is he always managing to act like an idiot in front of Keith? The guy is never going to see him as an equal. He dances with a lot of spins and sideways moves so he can keep an eye on the small group chatting by him. The more he watches, the more agitated he gets. This is the guy who's made him miserable, and it's the whole reason Lance was so upset yesterday. And yet here he is, chatting with his friends like it's no big deal. Then he catches Keith's eye. He's watching him dance from over his shoulder, and in a moment before he realizes he's been caught, Lance sees an edge of that soft look. He doesn't know if it's aimed at him or the after effect of him smiling at Pitch and Hunk, but Lance will take it. Maybe it's not too late to. He's not even sure what he wants to do. Impress him? Making a better impression? Prove that he's good? Salvage his reputation? Out reflects more than anything. He smirks cocky confidence coming back to him so naturally when he faces it with an expression of admiration. Keith's eyes widen a fraction, lips parting in surprise, before his face drops to a familiar scowl. Before he turns, Lance is positive he sees a flush on Keith's cheeks. Not that he knows he has an audience that he actually cares to impress. He kicks it up a notch. And it comes to him easy enough, nothing too fancy, but definitely some crowd pleasers. He bounces around with quick steps, throwing his arms into it. He even gets a half a backflip in there, jumping backwards and reaching back over his shoulder, planting his hand on the ground. He holds his weight upright for a moment before letting his momentum continue over, feet barely touching the ground before he's moving again. The whole time he keeps sneaking glances at Keith to make sure he's watching. Yes, the song changes, and suddenly Pidge and Hunk are there, both of them pushing him out of the circle. He's barely away from them before they start dancing a routine they had created a couple of years ago. He recognizes it immediately. That'll happen when you've seen your friends do the same thing nearly every day for a couple of months. He walks back to his spot, which is, unfortunately, right next to Keith. He stands next to him, hands hanging at his sides, and idly tapping against his thighs for the beat. Keith has his hands in his pockets, and Lance can see him shifting his weight from side to side next to him. They stand in awkward silence for nearly a minute before Keith says something. Lance knows. He's basically continuing the seconds while trying to keep his brain under control. So, do you guys do this often? Yes. Pulling a hand out of his pocket and gesture toward where Hunk and Pidge are dancing. Lance shrugs, tapping his hands double time. Every week, usually. It looks, fun? He glances sideways at Keith, who's keeping his eyes fixed forward. His lips are pursed together slightly, but it doesn't look like it's in anger or irritation or in the other ways he's always looked at Lance. Lance also doesn't get the impression that he's making fun of him. He just sounds awkward and uncomfortable, but determined. Yeah, Glenn says. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. He doesn't say anything, and they're both resolutely keeping their eyes on the dancing duo. So, jeez, now he's feeling awkward. Thank God there's music to tap along to. Otherwise, he'd be fidgeting a lot more. This is the first time he and Keith have had a real actual conversation. Lance is feeling strange. Nervous? Who knows? Sure as hell not him. How do you know Pidge? Yeah, that's right. Can be calm about this situation. He can be cool. Cool as ice. Lance McLean. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees Keith shrug. We've known each other since we were kids. Oh, really? He vaguely remembers Pidge mentioning a child friend, his main friend throughout high school. Let's be honest, he doesn't remember much else. Pidge has never brought him around. Yeah, our older brothers were friends. Shiro used to bring me along when he went to their house. What? Wait, Shiro? Lance says, turns to look at him, eyes wide. Keith meets his gaze, blinking. He raises one eyebrow. Yeah? Shiro's my brother, says he, like he's surprised that Lance doesn't already know. But how is he supposed to know that when no one's ever told him? He feels the panic start to rise again, threatening to choke him. His hands curl into fists, but don't stop tapping against his thighs. Oh, he says, and his voice is unnaturally high again. He tries to subtly clear his throat to not sound like he's being strangled. He's not panicking. He's not. He's cool as ice. Totally. He's not about to freak out because the guy he's been determined to beat, the guy that pisses him off, the guy that he's ranted and complained about for weeks, his rival, is not only old friends with Pidge, but the younger brother of Shiro. Why has no one ever told me this? You okay? Kate is looking at him, half turned in his direction. Fine, he says, cringing at his own voice. He doesn't seem convinced, but he drops it in. Lance remains silent, trying to digest this new information as silently as possible. Pidge and Hunk luckily provide a good distraction, so he doesn't have to look at Keith. Then Keith clears his throat, and Lance flexibly looks over at him. There is a small blush taking his cheeks, and his lips are pursed, brows furrowed. He can see his hands move relentlessly in his pockets. Speaking of Shiro, he's actually the reason why I'm here. He asked me to talk to you about that whole duo thing. He glances at Lance out of the corner of his eye and Lance blinks. Once, twice, three times. Oh, a smirk slowly curves his lips as he feels his nervousness subside, slowly replaced by a surge of confidence. He crosses his arms over his chest and cocks his hip to the side. His eyes go half-lidded as he practically beams at Keith. "Oh, I see what this is," he says slowly. Keith looks at him suspiciously, eyes rolling over a sudden change in expression. "You do?" He sounds skeptical. He shrugs. "Of course!" Holds his hand out at his side in a defenseless gesture. "Not that I can blame you." Keith brows rose. "What are you talking about?" He puts his hand on his hip as he turns to face him, leaning forward to use his other hand to poke him in the chest. He's grinning now. "You've changed your mind, and you're here to admit that I'm a good dancer and to beg me to be your dual partner." He's back, holding his hand to his chest. "I can't blame you. I am pretty good." He flashes him away and smiles. "You'd be lucky to have someone as dashing and talented as me as your partner." He glares at him, face hardened. He frowns, and this is the key expression that he used to see. This is comfortably familiar. He looks like he swallowed something sour. He then sighs, saying away. "You know what? Forget it. This is a waste of time." "Oh, come on, Keith. Don't be like that." Before he really realizes what he's doing, he steps forward, reaching out to grab Keith's arm. Keith glares at it before his eyes rise to meet his, raising one eyebrow in silent question. He feels a shiver run through him, but ignores it. Keith is so close, staring at him expectantly, and he feels his heart go into overbeat. His hair looks slightly damp, like he had recently taken a shower, and when a slight breeze passes by, Lance can smell the odd but pleasant combination of shampoo and deodorant. It's so disconcerting that he says the first thing that comes to mind. "You're already here. Might as well hurry up and apologize." Though his brows skyrocket and his mouth hangs open. "Apologize?" Yeah, dude. You were rude as yesterday. I'm not going to duel with you if you keep throwing a fit wherever I try to have a little fun." Keith pulls his arm from Lance's grasp, turning to face him. "I had no reason to apologize. I said you f***ed up our dance, and you did. Besides, you were the one who missed auditions, and after practically begging me to be there." Lance's work is gone. He crosses his arms over his chest, leaning back as he frowns. "I had my reasons." He rolls his eyes, mirroring Lance's position. "Like what? Couldn't pick a song?" Lance feels heat flare to his face. "You know what? I don't need this from you." He steps forward, getting into Keith's face, trying to ignore how the nearness of him makes his stomach twist in knots. He shoves a finger into Keith's chest, forcing him to some back step. "If you're so good, you should just audition by yourself instead of coming to beg me to carry you to regionals." "I'm not begging." "Then why are you here? Wanted to rub salt in the wound?" "Haha, Lance didn't make it, and I'm not going to do it, and because I got a 10-foot pole shoved so far up my ass. It's a miracle I can dance at all. What the hell do I want to do with you when you're always such an ass?" Because I'm good." "Don't flatter yourself." "Oh, and you think you're any better, hotshot? I made it last year, didn't I?" "Didn't go, but I made it through auditions, unlike you." "You know what? F you. I don't need this. I definitely don't need you," Lance says, giving Keith's chest one last jab for good measure. Keeps Lance's hand away. "Yeah? Well, same. I told them this was a stupid idea." His shoulders hunch and shoves his hands in his pocket as he steps away. "You can't even have a normal conversation with someone, let alone work with them. Shiro and Allura are crazy if we make a good team." His face is set in a sky that Lance knows all too well. He can feel the mirror in his own face. Keith's eyes drop away from him, lips twisting into something as he kicks at something on the ground. "I was starting to think that maybe they were right when they said dueling the regionals was a good idea. But I can't do this." I'm done. He shakes his head and moves his hands from his pockets, pulling them up in the air. He takes several steps backwards. I don't need you to get to regionals. I'll find someone else. Lance ignores the twisting in his gut, and his heart sinking into his stomach. He feels his expression twist, but he's not sure what face he's making. Fine, I don't need you, he snaps. There are plenty of people who would be lucky to have me as a partner. Good luck finding someone willing to put up with your bull, he says, turning on his heel and shove his hands back in his pocket as he walks away. He shows his hunch. Yeah? He shouts at them. Well, good luck finding someone willing to put up with your complex choreography, skill, talent, amazing agility, angry eyes, and pouting lips. All those sound especially like compliments. He flounders, trying to find something to say. The kid is walking away. So he says the first non-compliment he can think of. With your mullet. Yeah, good one. He groans and buries his face. That's a problem. Well, it's very complicated that Lance and Heath aren't working along each other. And a little slow conversation, but now it's gone. This is the most messed up chapter that I ever read. I'm trying to keep it clean when I have to do the outro and the intro because I could swear on in the middle of it, but I can't swear on the outro because I'm gonna have to stay away from it. I'm sorry, okay? It's just it's my priority, okay? And besides, this might be a family friendly channel ish because there are some of the videos there that are family friendly because we talked about it. Sometimes I might be a little go easily, he might be a little aggressive because I'm that person. But Lance and Keith, they're not getting along with each other and not having a dance to this. They're starting feeling good. They're starting feeling so well, but it's just going down. It's been a long time reading. I'm tired right now, and this is very complicated. So that is the end of this chapter. I'm gonna see you guys next time. It's probably take a while. Alright, everybody.